Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Soulful Eclectic. I am none other than your host, Dr. Diana Collins, and I want to welcome you to today's episode. Yes, we're making it through the end of the month. I can't believe January is already over, and we've had so much going on in this January. It's freaking ridiculous, and it's still going on. So I hope everyone has safety and is safe who are dealing with this aftermath of the storms on the East Coast. I know South Carolina is about to get hit, or the Carolinas, North and South, and also probably Georgia and all that encompasses down there. So I hope everyone down there stays nice and warm and toasty cozy, and can ride this terrible weather out. Here in good old Tucson, it is about 60 degrees and pretty fair to me, but which is why I moved here, because I can't do the cold anymore. But anywho, thank you all for joining me on this episode. If this is the first time you're joining me, well, thank you for coming in, taking a time out, having a chat, getting your coffee, tea, whatever drink you have at this time of the evening. That's totally up to you. But me, I'm just probably going to finish up my coffee because I have a nighttime coffee brew that I do. So it's got a little magnesium glycinate in there to help me sleep well at night. So it's not really coffee, probably like mushrooms coffee, but it's pretty tasty. Anywho, but thank you guys for joining me. Again, if it's the first time you're joining me, thank you. If you are returning, well, welcome back. And thank you for coming back. Yay. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time out to listen, to give me your feedback. And I do listen to your feedback, and it's just been amazing. If you have not done so already, please do so. Download your app to WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. There are some new things going on there. I know Chris Thomas is on there now, and I know we have some new DJs coming on, also some new shows. So please take your time out and download the app on your Apple or your Google from Google Play. And also, you can do it on Roku TV and see this episode live with my face, not just my voice. Okay, so let's up the ante and let's support one another. And again, if you have anyone who is a creative or know someone who's a creative and would like to get their shows aired on WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV, please have them reach out to wubi.live.com. wubilive.com at gmail.com. Oh my gosh, why am I not doing this right? Okay. And also you can reach out to myself. I can put you in touch with the powers that be, whatever. So guys, yes, there is a fee. Okay. None of this comes for free, but it is reasonable and we do work with you. So why not get your stuff aired and let the world see it, because it is an international station, right? Okay. So that's my plug for that. Thank you to the other sponsors, because WBI definitely is one of our biggest sponsors. But thank you to Divine Nubian Essentials, loving the skin that I am in. Yes. And I just oh my gosh, it's just amazing. So I love the skincare. I love the body moisturizer, the hair products. It's just all amazing. And it keeps my hair looking amazing. Yay. This is all mine. No extensions. It's me. 7 years come April. 7 years come April. I have my locks. And if those of you who've been following me know, my locks started at 3 to 4 inches. So not bad for 7 years, right? So there's that. And thank you to Collins Education Resource Management, where education is our passion. Listen, we've been working with these students, keeping them afloat maintaining retention in the nursing schools and in medical assisting schools, even my baby CNAs. I love you guys because you guys start as CNAs and then you work your way up and become registered nurses, nurse practitioners. Guys, you don't know how much it does my heart proud to see my former students become midwives. Shout out to Amanda Jones, who is now a midwife, and she was one of my nursing babies. Sarah Spellman, who's now a nurse practitioner. I mean, it just, the list goes on. The list goes on. But kudos to all of you, and I love seeing you guys go out and just rock being a professional nurse. And I support you. I look for your achievements. I cheer your achievements because your achievement, it just brings me such joy, and it feels like it's my achievement too because I was a part of that journey. And I thank you for allowing me to be part of that journey. How about that? So Collins Education Resource Management is still doing their thing, helping students continue their path to healthcare and nursing and nurse practitioner. And also, if you could go to med school, we can help with that too. So there's that. So yeah, and then thank you to Melvirus, okay, hair studio, because Deanna, my favorite stylist, the favorite stylist, your favorite stylist, is doing her thing and keeping my hair looking the way that it does. So I thank you guys at Melvirus. You're all amazing. Thank you so much to Neek's Beauty Supply, where I go in and I drop in to say hi, where they have Divine Nubian Essentials body butter in there. So if you're local in Tucson on 22nd Street, drop in Neek's and go and support local Black female-owned businesses. Let's do the thing, okay? We can support one another. We've done it in the past. Let's pick up where our ancestors left off and let's do it again. Okay, so thank you to Neek's Beauty Supply. I love you. I appreciate you. You rock. And for those of you who may know or may not know, I am an artist. Myself and my husband are both artists, and we're part of our art collective, Earthseed Rising. And I will share with you all that not this Friday, which is today, not today, next Friday, the 6th of February, we are hosting, an art and dandyism. So you get to see some art and get to dress up and just look your absolute fabulous best. So here is the flyer for it. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Maybe I can I zoom in? Let me see, maybe change the layout. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe that's not going to help me either. Anywho, I'm just going to bring it back and see what happens. So let's cancel that. So Earthseed Rising, we are hosting at the Dunbar on the 13th of February, which is not this next Friday, but the Friday after next. So I misspoke. So it's not next Friday, it's the following Friday at the Dunbar here in Tucson. And it's celebrating art and dandyism. And if you don't know anything about dandyism and the Black diaspora of such, oh my gosh, you're in for a treat. I'm still not sure on the outfit I am wearing. I purchased one, and then it's like my husband had a different idea, so now I'm like, ooh, now I gotta change it up. So yeah, so we're going to see what that's about, but we get to celebrate art and showcase 15 of the collective's artists that are going to showcase their art. Myself and my husband are included in that. So thank you to Randesia and her husband Herman for helping facilitate all this, and Lynn Lucas, who's also one of the artists that will be showcased there as well, for making this all possible. You guys are amazing. I love what it is that we are doing, and we're just going to keep doing it. So if you are in the Tucson area, Friday, February 13th, from 5 to 8:30 p.m. at the Dunbar Pavilion, please come down and just show your love and support of the arts and all that it entails. And dress to impress, dress to the nines, people, because we in here and we're going to do the thing. So please, it's a free event. We're accepting donations, and you're always welcome to purchase art. But it is a free event to come showcase your dress your best, and just, we always look for that time to get dressed up and, show out. Let this be the night. Get dressed, show out, show up, and show out, and show that we are in support of the arts. So, yeah, that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it. There you go. But I did not want another episode to go by without me mentioning that, because it is very important. It's something that I do, and it's very important to me. So, thank you. The other thing that I did not, that I neglected to share with everyone is this on the 6th, which is next Friday. There's so much going on this February. But the 6th of February here in Tucson, at the Pima College, Pima Community Center, I think it's Pima West, and their movie pavilion, we will be showing one of the movies that I'm in, Kate Hugo, Diamond Detective. I do have a role in that film, and we will be showcasing that on Friday the 6th here in Tucson. Tickets are $20, I believe. And it is a pre-show, a pre-meet and greet, and then you can stay after and talk with some of the actors that will be there. So please come to that and show out. That will be we would appreciate it, because as creatives, we just want to come out and show our art, and just be creative and show that there's so much more going on in the world than the chaos that we are constantly seeing on the news and so forth and so on. So yeah. So that's what I have, and I'm sticking with it. And if I forgot anyone, I do solely apologize. But I'll catch you on the back end or the next episode. But I think I got all of the upcoming things in for the month of February, since I forgot all the upcoming things in the month of January, which I don't think there was that much, but there were a couple of things that I missed in January. But I'm making for it in February. How about that? Okay. So yeah, so whatever it is that you're doing today, I just want you to say again, thank you for showing up and being present. I really do appreciate you, because there's so much more you could be doing and listening to in your time today, and you chose to share it and listen to me. So with that, I want to just share wherever you are in the world. I thank you for being here with the Soulful Eclectic. As you all know, I am Dr. Diana Collins. I am a nurse practitioner, an educator, an advocate of health and creative beings, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm advocate for LGBTQ healthcare and healthcare equity. I am a creative. I'm a woman committed to lifelong progress and process of becoming. So before we truly begin, I know I did all this stuff for like 10, 15 minutes beforehand, but before we dive into today's topic, take a deep breath. In through your nose, hold it for 2, let it out for 4. Okay? Because our conversation tonight just might stir up something. All right? And that's okay. And that's okay. But it's a deep conversation. And it's something that I don't think we can talk about too much. And I know I've talked about it some episodes ago, but I think it's warranted. It's worthy of talking about again. But today we're going to talk a little bit about having boundaries without guilt. I know, I totally know. We talked about it before. We had this whole boundary thing, and unfortunately, people are using like boundaries and I'm protecting my peace as guys, sometimes like people say I'm protecting my peace, and cut people off because I'm protecting my peace. Sometimes that could be a trigger for me because I'm like, what am I doing that's disrupting your peace? But that's neither here nor there, because there are people that are doing things that are disrupting your peace, and it's okay. And it's okay. So people are using it properly, and you have people who are just, I don't know what you're doing, okay? Because you're the reason why we have boundaries. How about that? Okay. If that's fair to say. But today we're going to talk about boundaries without guilt. And I don't know if some of you have never heard this before. I'm sure by now many of us have, with everything that's going on TikTok, Instagram. It's one of the other buzz terms that are going around, and buzzwords that are going around. Boundaries. The other buzz was what, burnout. Then it was DI, and so there's other things that are going around, and triggers, all those things, and those are all not to be negative, because I still get triggered on some things, and triggers are real. And sometimes when people disrupt those boundaries that we have set, it can lead to things in being triggered. So if you're just hearing about that phrase and it makes you uncomfortable, then you know what? Maybe this episode is something for you. So I want you all to really just be honest with yourself, and be honest with what you're thinking in your conscious and unconscious mind. But most of us, honestly, we were never taught how to set boundaries. Well, especially healthy boundaries, right? Many of us were taught to be helpful, almost in excess. We were taught to be agreeable, right? You couldn't disagree with certain things, especially within your family. We were taught to be strong, reliable, right? And for most of us, especially if you're the oldest child, between the oldest child and the middle child, right? Because that can go either way. Um, you're the one who always handles it or can deal with it. And somewhere along the way, we learned that being loved meant being available and accessible. And in today's communication age, and the flow of communication and availability of communication, that access is immediate. I mean, because look, how many of us don't leave without our phones, right? You kind of feel like you're lost if you don't have your phone. Is that right? Like, if you were to leave the house today and forget your phone, how many of you would double back and go back and get your phone because you could not function without having your phone? I know I probably would, because I want to be in contact with my kid. My husband called me. Though I was proud of myself one time. I didn't double back. I waited till I got to my location, and I used a phone at my location once I made it safely, and called my husband and said, I don't have my phone, just so that you know, but I made it here safely, and I will let you know when I leave, so that you know I'm on my way home. And by the time I got home, I have to tell you, I had like 96 text messages, 20 voicemails, and all this craziness. And I'm just like, wow. Remember the days when you had to wait till you got home to hear your messages on your phone? And then we were all like, oh my gosh, I could check my messages from home with just a code that you could put in your phone to listen to your messages, to have them play back. Oh my goodness, how far we've come from that. So now everything is available to us. People have immediate access to us. And when they can't get us because we're choosing to have those boundaries, they're at a loss. So like I said, somewhere along the line, we learned that being loved meant being available and accessible at all times, even when it costs us our peace. So when we start setting boundaries, as I call it, the Catholic guilt, because even though I'm not a practicing Catholic, I was raised both Catholic and Baptist because I went to Catholic school all the way up through high school, from like daycare all the way through high school. Um, and so I follow Catholicism while in school, but I was raised outside of school. We went to Baptist church. So for me, that Catholic school guilt or Catholic guilt is real, and it shows up when you start setting those boundaries. So it can appear either way, as just guilt or the proverbial Catholic guilt. But it shows up not because we're doing something wrong, but because we're really trying to do something new and it's unheard of, and people will say you're changing. Oh, all of a sudden I can't do this, and start actually name calling, to be honest, because it does get to the point where they're saying you're bougie, you're doing this, and oh, whatever the case may be, whatever words they would like to choose to place upon you. That has nothing to do with you. That has to do with them. So please don't embody that. And I say that and just to you as I say it to myself, because we do embody some of the things that how people perceive us. And so we have to try not to embody those things, right? So guilt often, when you stop over giving, shows up when you stop explaining or stop abandoning yourself for the comfort of others. That's when you usually will see guilt appear. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm being selfish because I could do this for this person. Okay, but at what cost, right? Remember I said no is sometimes and will be a complete sentence. And we feel guilty about saying no to something. And even though you probably could have done it, but did you really want to? Because if you want to, then okay, then go ahead. Don't feel guilty or don't be mad that people overstepped your boundaries, because again, it's a choice. You allowed them, right? So when we talk about guilt, as I said, guilt often appears when we stop overthinking and we stop explaining, or we stop abandoning ourselves for the comfort of other people. Because we always, when we say we're not going to do something, we say no because I have to do X, Y, Z. We explain, right? Remember, no is a complete sentence. So if you don't want to do it, just say no, or I'm not available. I'm unable to do this. You don't have to explain, okay? You don't have to give an explanation of why you're uncomfortable, or, make yourself uncomfortable. No, okay? So I'm going to say this, and I want you to either repeat it after me, write it down, whatever you want to do. But guilt is not always a sign of wrongdoing. Sometimes it's a sign of growth. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Guilt is not a sign of wrongdoing. Sometimes it's a sign of growth. You're growing. I love it for you. And it will look amazing on you. And the fact that you get to rest, you're doing something for yourself, you're going to have a new pep in your step, you'll have some energy. Oh, it will be magnificent. So I challenge you to give it a shot. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. And again, I want you to write it down if you so desire. If not, that's okay, but I'll repeat it. Guilt is not always a sign of wrongdoing. Sometimes it is literally just a sign of you growing. Okay? It's a sign of growth. Right? So with that, take a quick break. Hey everyone, Dr. Diana Collins here with the Soulful Eclectic, a podcast about being your authentic self and maintaining your health and wellness, brought to you by Divine Nubian Essentials, Love the Skin You're In, and also Collins Education Resource Management, where healthcare education is our passion. If you're looking for a new read, check out our friend Reggie Dupree in Hoodoo Heaven, Return to Hoodoo, and Mystical Midlife Mate, because everything is happening in Hoodoo, brought to you by WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. If you have not downloaded your app on Roku or Apple or Google Play, do so right away. The Soulful Eclectic can be found every Friday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on all your podcast streaming platforms, WUBI Ubiquity Radio and TV. So, see you soon. Namaste. Hey guys, thank you so much for taking that moment. I hope you did a little bio break, got yourself some water, whatever you needed to do. But yes, so now let's talk a little bit about what boundaries actually are and what they're not. Okay, what boundaries actually are and what they're not. Boundaries are not walls. You're not setting up this huge brick wall like the wall that was on the Women of Brewster Place. No, we're not. It's nothing of that. And yes, I just did age myself on that show. I love that show. It was a good show. Made me cry many times. But boundaries are not walls. Okay, they are not punishment. You're not punishing anyone. Okay, that's not what boundaries are. They're not meant to be punishment, and they are not punishments. And they are not ultimatums, guys. They're not. No, that's not what a boundary is. They are not ultimatums. Boundaries are clear agreements with yourself about what you're available for. Both. Okay? I'm going to finish that before I continue. Boundaries are clear agreements. Okay? Clear agreements with yourself about what you are available for, what you're allowing access about you to. Oh, how am I talking? What you ever say stuff and it just like what that just did not make sense. So boundaries are clear agreements with yourself about what you're available for and who you will allow access to you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Okay? Boundaries sound like I can help, but not at the cost of my health. I need time to think before I answer. And that's okay. You don't have to say no right out the gate. You can think about it because maybe it's something you might want to consider. Who knows? But I need time to think about it before I give you an answer. And it also sounds like that doesn't work for me right now. Plain and simple. That doesn't work for me right now. You can say it as a question. You can say it as a statement. However, right? Boundaries protect your energy so that when you give, it comes from you fully, right? Boundaries protects your energy so that when you do give it, it comes from a place of fullness, not resentment. If you do something for someone or you put yourself in a position where you've overextended, then there's a level of resentment that comes to play. And that's not what boundaries are. I mean, it really isn't. So you just really want to think about that. So I'll say all of that again. Boundaries sound like I can help, but not at the cost of my health. I need time to think before I answer. And that just doesn't work for me right now. Okay. And that's just an example. You could say it however, but for me, those are my go-tos that I usually use because I am an overextender. I will tell you yes to everything. I will. I'll say, yeah, I could do it. Yeah, I could do it. Yeah. It's like, girl, where do you have time? I don't even have time for half of the stuff I should be doing and I need to do for me. And I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I got you. I could do that. I just did that. I literally just did that and was like, when is that? I did not exercise or enforce my own boundaries there for that. And so now I am committed to do something. And I'm like, I got to shift this and do this because I didn't say I need time to think before I answer. I just answered. Right. So there's that. I won't be resentful because it is something I did. So it's on me. But remember that your boundaries are set there to protect your energy so that when you're ready to give your energy, it comes from a place of fullness, not a place of resentment. And here's the I'm going to tell you the truth because I'm authentic and I'm not about to blow smoke up your butt and sugarcoat anything. But the truth of the matter is, people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may not like the new you. Just saying. Those people who constantly, I call them energy suckers, who benefit from your availability and your free access to you, they once you start setting those boundaries, I'm going to tell you, they're not going to like the new you. And that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It means that you are coming into a dynamic change for you. That's it. You're coming into something dynamic and you're changing and you're growing, and kudos to you. So let's talk about the root of some of this guilt that even though I say don't feel guilty, I can almost guarantee there'll be an inkling of guilt in there when you first start setting those boundaries. So let's talk a little bit about where that guilt comes from. All right. Sometimes that guilt just really comes from childhood conditioning, and we all are guilty of it. I still feel it sometimes when I go in certain situations around family members, older family members, the aunties and things like that, and the uncles, and I tend to shrink back into that child place, even this big age I am today. So childhood conditioning is really big on that, and especially for those of us in the Black and Brown community, we're reared as once we start walking and talking, they condition us to be seen, not heard. Do as I say, not as I do. All those things. What happens in the house stays in the house. You don't talk about all these things. And when I call you, you come. That's a big one. When I call you, you come. It's like, okay, but what if I was doing something? It doesn't matter. I called you. So yeah, so those childhood conditionings play a big part of it. And as I just mentioned, being in the Black and Brown community, right? There's so many expectations culturally that live within us that now when we set up those boundaries, we get some pushback from family. Gender roles. I don't sign on to gender roles. I think many years back, my kids and I, we had some, I don't say disagreement, but some clarification of roles because they thought, the man in the house is supposed to take the trash out. I mean, that's a gender role. We're supposed to clean, cook, clean. I'm like, no, if I'm tired, you can cook. If I'm home, garbage is full, I'm going to take the garbage out. So it's one of those things. So gender roles also play a part in that. Big one for those of us in healthcare, caretaker identities. As nurses, we feel like we always have to take care of somebody and be there when they need us, especially when they're not at their very best. So caretaker identities. And then there's survivor strategies, right? Survival strategies. We succumb to it just to maintain the peace in the family. That's a survival tech strategy, right? I'm not going to make waves. I'm just going to do what they tell me to do. whatever they ask me to do, because I don't want to hear, I don't want them to talk about me. I don't want them to say I did this or didn't want to do this. And, the backlash for that. So it becomes a survival strategy to just succumb and just do it. So many of us learn that from an early age, that our worth was tied into what we were able to give or what we provided, and not based off of who we were. And talking with therapists and psychologists, again, I'm in healthcare in many realms. We've had these conversations for ourselves, because we need therapy too, or we should have therapy too, to kind of keep ourselves intact, right? So we talk amongst ourselves in these circles about how we maintain the boundaries, not only with our patients, but also with our family members, and friends. And like I said, many of us learn that our worth is attached to what we can do for them and what we can give them. And that's why many of us are givers. One of my love languages is to give gifts. And I think it's based off of, I have to give somebody something in order for them to know that I care about them, and that I'm thinking about them. And not just being who I am is enough. So when it comes down to it, and we start learning and to set those boundaries for us, when we say no, our nervous system might interrupt that as might interpret that as danger, and interrupt the flow of things. So your body is trying to catch up with your newfound boundary setting that you have. So when you say no, you might get into this fight or flight. You might start, your anxiety starts to flare up, might start sweating. Some people might hyperventilate. A myriad of things could happen with that fight or flight. Some people have GI distress. It shows up in fight or flight, shows up in many ways. And what happens is it's protecting you from that fear. It's that danger, and the fear that you just elicited because you said no. And now you're fearful of the backlash, the rejection, the onslaught of emotional disruption that they're about to lay on you because you said no, and because that is the norm. So your body is trying to catch up to those boundaries that you're not now setting, that you have not set before. That's why boundary work is not just a mindset work. It's also working on your nervous system. And I can say that because I'm constantly still working on those boundaries, right? And sometimes I'll try to set those boundaries, and there's other things that disrupts it. So that's a natural reaction, because even though we're changing our mindset, now we have to our body has to catch up, because our nervous system is still working with that old thinking. So what you're doing is you're teaching yourself that it is safe to honor your limits, right? You're teaching yourself that you don't have to earn rest, love, or respect. Okay, it's not something that you earned. It's just, it is. It is what it is. Okay, so that's what we're doing. But that's that. Boundaries in real life. Boundaries in real life. Here's what boundaries is: boundaries with compassion. That's what it is. Boundaries in real life can look like, what am I trying to say? Boundaries in real life. So here's what it looks like to have boundaries with compassion. Saying no without a long explanation. Remember I said that? Saying no without giving an explanation. That's boundaries with compassion. Just no. I'm not available. Sometimes no can feel, sometimes, again, we have that negative annotation to the word no. So sometimes your no instead of just saying a harsh, which I don't want to say is harsh because it's really not harsh. It's just no. But just saying, I can't, I'm not available. I'm not going to be able to do that if you don't want to say no. But I honestly am working on just saying no. Because my how you perceive that no is not my responsibility, to be honest. So if you perceive my no as being harsh and negative, that's on you. I don't claim that, and I'm not going to claim that because it's just no, right? So saying no without an explanation, um, pausing before responding instead of reacting is a big one. So giving yourself that, I mean, you guys know I'm big on pauses. So giving yourself that moment to pause before responding instead of reacting. Um, and again, I do forget to do that sometimes. And as I said, I just agreed to do something and I'm just like, oh, why didn't I just pause before answering, or just say, let me look at, let me get back to you, something. But it happens. Again, it's a mindset, and you're working on changing your mindset. Letting people be disappointed without fixing it. Yeah, I'm a fixer. I want to fix everyone's problem, and I get disappointed in myself when I can't fix things for people, especially my family members, especially my children and my husband. I just want to fix it. So now, when I go into those conversations with them, the first thing I say, am I listening? Or are you asking for advice, or do you need my help to fix something? Because I automatically go into fix it mode and I want to fix it and make it better for the individual. And 90% of the time it's for someone I truly care about, which we do, right? We want to fix our loved ones' problems, and we gotta letting people be disappointed without fixing it. It's okay. Um, Choosing rest even when the to-do list is still long and growing. That one is one that is a challenge for me because I feel like I have to be doing something every moment of the day. My husband is really good at resting when he needs to. He's excellent at boundary setting. I mean, I give him kudos. Dan, you are a rock star with that. You teach me how to set boundaries and keep those boundaries set. So I thank you for that. But I'm still a work in progress. So choosing rest even when the to-do list is long. That one is a challenge for me because I feel like I have to keep doing things. And it does keep me up at night sometimes. And you know what? It's just one of those things. But let me just clear up something for you. You're not responsible for regulating other people's emotions. Remember that you're not responsible for the perception of someone else or how they perceive something that you said or how they perceive you based on what you just said. You're not responsible for regulating someone else's emotions. That's not your job. It's really not. So it's okay. Having discomfort, being uncomfortable does not mean that something is damaged. Someone being unhappy does not mean you've harmed them. It really doesn't. So healthy relationships will adjust. The ones that don't are the unhealthy relationships. Those are the ones that resist. Okay, those are unhealthy relationships. Because me, if I ask one of my friends to do something, say, "Hey, can we meet up?" They're like, "No, I can't," or "No, that's not a good day," whatever. I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let me know when it's a good day, and we'll meet up." Um, and that's usually how that works. That's a healthy relationship, be it friendship or um, partner relationship, intimate partner relationship, and our friendship relationships can be and are intimate as well. So, spouse, significant other relationship, and friendships. can be healthy relationships because we adjust. We will just pivot and find another day. The unhealthy ones are the ones that give you pushback, right? And say, oh, what are you doing that's so important that you can't do this? What are you doing? Usually you're free. What's going on that you don't have time? Those are unhealthy relationships. Just so you know. And let me, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there because I was going to go on, and I'm like, that's a good place to start for someone who's beginning to set boundaries, or even someone who just needed a refresher, like because they have started to be lax in their boundary setting, or they're not doing themselves a service at maintaining those boundaries. Maybe that was a reset for you. I know sometimes it's a reset for me because sometimes, like I said, I just did this, right? Accepted an assignment, and I'm like, oh, I don't have the room for this. So this whole conversation is not just for you all out there, but it's also for me too, as a reminder that I need to hold my boundaries and, just be conscious of them for myself. And so I don't overextend. So one of the things you want to do is practice this stuff, practical practices, right? Practical practices. So I'm going to give you a few gentle practices that you can start today, tomorrow. It's totally up to you. But some places to start. So first, in your journal, on a piece of paper, on a notepad, or a sticky note, whatever you want to write it on, name your limits. Ask yourself, what drains me and what restores me, right? Name your limits. What drains me, what restores me. And then you practice neutral responses. Some of the neutral responses, right? You don't owe urgency or emotional labor. You don't. You don't owe urgency or emotional labor. So let me get back to you is a boundary. Is that pause, right? I need to check my calendar. It's a pause, right? So it's not an urgent at all. I'm just saying. Expect discomfort. It will happen. Expect discomfort and don't retreat. No retreat, no surrender. That was a movie. Sorry, nerded out for a minute there. Expect discomfort and don't retreat. Growth often feels awkward. Believe me, I've been growing since forever. And in the past 10 years, I've grown exponentially. So growth feels awkward before it can feel empowering. Okay? Growth often feels awkward before it can feel empowering. Just let you know. So embrace the awkwardness of it because it will feel awkward. But the more you do it, the more it feels relieving, and you feel the weight, your shoulders relax a little bit more, and you just got a little more pep in your step, So it's okay. Speak to yourself with compassion. Remember, I always say, be kind to yourself. Yeah, speak to yourself with compassion. Those words are powerful. And we're constantly in a state of heightened urgency and emotional duress, and with all the things that are going on with our people outside, with ICE and the president, people in his cabinet. It is so much. It just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. And this is only coming upon year 2, right? So speak to yourself with compassion because that is what you have control over. So when guilt shows up, here's something that I say. I'm learning to choose myself. This is allowed. Yeah, I'm learning to choose myself. This is allowed. It's okay. Right? So, with that, I'm going to just go ahead and leave you with that because I think that's a lot to leave you with. So, as you know, I have my few affirmations for you that I would share with you related to the guilt of setting boundaries. So, you can write these down. I'll repeat them a few times so that you have them. If you want to write them in your journal or you sticky notes, stick them on your mirrors, on your car, whatever you want to do, by all means, I share them with you. So the first one is um, I am allowed to set limits and have limits. I am allowed to have limits. Yes. You can say it either way you want. I'm allowed to set limits. I'm allowed to have limits. Totally up to you how you want to say it, but I'm allowed to have limits. My needs matter. Okay. And that point blank, my needs matter. Um, I can be kind and still be clear. Right? When I talk about no, it's kind and it's clear. Who says it's negative? The person who you have an unhealthy relationship with who wants to resist, who will say it's negative, right? I can be kind and still be clear. Guilt does not mean I'm wrong. It doesn't. Guilt does not mean I'm wrong. And I choose self respect over self sacrifice. I choose self respect over self sacrifice. Self care is not selfish. And choosing to respect myself and pay attention to my needs and set limits is not selfish. I don't want to sacrifice myself. So I choose self respect over self sacrifice. So, some other truths I want to share with you that I find very helpful as we're navigating this new setting boundaries. Boundaries are acts of love towards yourself and the other person because here's the thing, you're setting yourself up for love for yourself because you're setting the boundaries and you're paying attention to how you feel and what your needs are, and also you're protecting the other person from you resenting them because they put you in a position where you felt like you had to choose them over yourself. And that's not fair. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Who are you seeking permission from? And it doesn't matter who it is. And I had to learn that. It doesn't matter who it is. You don't need permission to protect your peace. And saying no is not rejection, it's just redirection. They may see it as rejection. Again, those unhealthy relationships will resist. They will see that no as a rejection. It's just a redirection. No. Then they say, oh, well, how about another day? Let me check my calendar. Don't answer right away. Give yourself that pause, right? The right people, which means healthy relationships, will adjust. Okay? And just to be clear, also, you are allowed to change. We as humans are bred and to evolve. We are built to evolve and grow. Okay? And there are certain individuals who tend to stay where they are and don't want to evolve and grow. That's okay. They're in their lane, you're in your lane. You don't need to go in their lane. It's like, what was that one saying? I think I've said it before. Ti, I don't know who said it. someone said it to T.I. and he repeated it, and I'm like, well, I like that. Grass and trees start in the same spot, but you don't see them stay there, right? Trees grow big, grass stayed low. Even though they started in the same neighborhood, one moves on, and that's okay. I may have said that backwards, but or not exactly the same way, but you get the gist. We all may start at the same space, in the same place, at the same time, but we all have a different agenda in the world. And that's the lane that you're in. So stay in your lane. So with that, I leave you with this. If this episode or any episode resonated with you, I invite you to sit with it. Journal it if that's what you do. Write it on a sticky note, on your mirror, whatever it is that you do. Reflect. Notice where and when the guilt feeling shows up, and respond with gentleness and kindness instead of being shameful, instead of shaming yourself. Okay? And remember, boundaries are not always about pushing people away. They're about inviting yourself back in, because we lose sight of ourselves and track of ourselves because we're trying to be something and fix things for other people. So by setting those boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're just inviting you back into the game. So with that, thank you for spending your time with me. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate you. And again, if this episode spoke to you, please share, like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps this message reach those who need it. Okay? And until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, keep becoming. Okay? Thank you. Namaste.